Alright, so I've been wanting to do this video for a while now because I've had this conversation with multiple people, and they've all, said the same thing, which is, why are there so many versions of the Bible? Like, if it's God's word, shouldn't it just be one word? Some people, if they're Muslim, like, why isn't it like the Quran, where it's just one? But I mean, they got hadiths and stuff like that, which is not the Quran, but different subject. But you get the point, though. Most people ask why are there multiple Bibles and everything of that sort, and then even some of them say different things. Some discredit the other and everything of that sort. So we got to figure out why is that the case, and I've done the proper studying to figure out why is that the case, so I can most definitely speak on it and give a definitive answer. And that's what I want to do for you guys today. I want to show you guys the difference between the two. Now look here. These are 3 different manuscripts of the New Testament, by the way. Over in this one, it's the ancestor of the Alexandrian family that was in Egypt. And so you got the lost manuscripts of the Bible, the traditional text. By the way, the traditional texts are the Textus Receptus. The Textus Receptus was used by the apostles and their apostles and people. Even the Waldenses, many different other Christian sects that was during the Middle and Dark Ages, they also used the Textus Receptus. But in this column over here, you got the ancestor of the Western family, so that is coming from Rome. Over in your Alexandrian column, you got the papyrus, whatever that number is. You got this papyrus. You got the Codex B. You got Codex Aleph. And what you get from these manuscripts that were written is your Revised Bible, your American Standard Bible. You get your Revised Standard Version from this column, and you get your New English Bible from this column. So these manuscripts that came from Alexandria produced these Bible versions. Now let's go over to this column. You got your ancestor of the Western family, which is Rome. You got your Latin Vulgate. Self-explanatory when it says Latin, because the only people that even speak that language is the Catholic priest. Then also over here you got your Old Latin. You got your Codex D. You got your Codex D2. You got your Codex E2. And what you get from that is the Dua version. Now look here. One thing that I haven't stated is also the centuries. Like, all these are early century, like 4th century. Let's say 200 AD. And I can't see this one. I think let's say 200 AD too. Over here you got that century. You got your 2nd century. You got 5th or 6th. You get the point. But in the middle over here, you get your traditional text, the Textus Receptus, which are very, young as it comes to these ones who are much older. So people say they're more reliable, but that's stupid. Just because something ancient and it's older doesn't mean that it's reliable, You just can't depend on that. But over here, you got your Gothic version, 4th century, I believe. Nope. I believe it says 4th century. Then over here, you got the Peshitta, the Syriac. Then also over here, you got your Codex W, Codex A. Then over here, you got the vast majority of the extent. So yeah, and then you get the King James 1611 Bible. Now, what I'm about to read you guys is coming from this man right here. Here's a picture of him, and his name is David Otis Fuller. And this is what he says. Fundamentally, there are only 2 streams of the Bible. As you can see, I presented you 3. But this is what he says, though. The first stream, which carried the received text in Hebrew and Greek, precious manuscripts were preserved by such as the church at Pella in Palestine, where Christians fled, when in 70 AD the Romans destroyed Jerusalem. By the way, the received text is the Textus Receptus, and not only that, Jesus prophesied 70 AD, Rome was going to destroy Jerusalem, and that's exactly what happened. But not only that, that was when the early church first got started. Not that nonsense about them talking about the Pope starting with Peter and all the other nonsense. No. Peter was never no Pope. But not only that, that was the early church. When Paul and all of them got together with those many different groups and everything of that sort, that is when you had the early church. Not the nonsense about what the Catholics spread. That's nonsense. But he continues to say this. By the Syrian Church of Antioch, which produced eminent scholarship, by the Italic Church in northern Italy, and also at the same time by the Gallic Church in southern France and by the Celtic Church in Great Britain, by the pre-Waldensians, Waldensian, and the churches of the Reformation. By the way, the Reformers, you got people like Martin Luther, John Wycliffe, William Tyndale, John Hus. I mean, it's a whole bunch of people, But I believe it was John Wycliffe. John Wycliffe, he was the one who first transferred the Bible from the old language to the new language, which is English. Les Garriott says this in his book, Which Bible Can We Trust? Topic of discussion right now. And he says on page 64, these manuscripts have an agreement with them by far the vast majority of the copies of the original text. So vast is this majority that even the enemies of the received text admit that 19/20 of all the Greek manuscripts are of this class. So basically what he is saying here is, people, that the received text agree with the original text, but not only that, that people who are enemies of the received text even have to admit that, it is of that class of original text. It is not some type of forgery or anything of that sort. The received text is valid. It's just people try to discredit it because of how young it is and how much older the other ones are. But like I said, just because something is ancient doesn't mean that it's reliable and that you can just agree upon just solely that. Now he says this, the second stream is a small one of a very few manuscripts. These manuscripts are represented in Greek, the Vatican manuscript or Codex B, already showed you guys that, in the library at Rome, and the Sinaitic or Codex Aleph. Now, look here, I'm going to just say this. With all the corruption that has happened within the Roman Catholic Church, do you expect them to present you with accurate, reliable information coming from the Bible and coming from the apostles and what they wrote or what the apostles wrote? I don't think so. But then also the Sinaitic or Codex Aleph, that was found in a waste paper basket on Mount Sinai, I believe it was. Reason for the Sinaitic. But no, yeah. So those ones are even just, far sketchy as well. But we're gonna get into that. We got over here in Latin the Vulgate or Latin Bible of Jerome. By the way, it was this man named Helvidius. He actually confronted Jerome because he told him that, look, bro, the manuscripts that I'm using ain't like the ones you using, bro. And something is fishy about the ones you using, so you should not be using those. You should probably be using the ones that I'm using because these are the more traditional texts that have been used by past people and past people, before there. So they had a little confrontation about that, and it's in history and everything of that sort, so you can look that up yourselves. But over here it says, in English, the Jesuit Bible of 1582, which later with vast changes is seen in the Douai or Catholic Bible. Now look here. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Jesuits, but the Jesuits are of an order, a secret order, by the way, of the Roman Catholic Church. Now, their history stems far back as the 1500s, I believe, if I'm correct. Yeah, I was correct. The Society of Jesus, they shouldn't even call it that, but more commonly known as the Jesuits, was founded in 1534 by Ignatius of Loyola, a Spanish soldier who became a priest, and 6 of his students at the University of Paris. The Jesuits were established during the Protestant Reformation, a time of crisis for the Catholic Church. Now, by the way, the Jesuits were created for that specific time. Reason being is because Protestantism and the Reformation was kicking Catholicism butt. This is the Jesuit oath, and this is the superior talking to the initiates about to be brought in. My son, heretofore you have been taught to act the dissembler among Roman Catholics, to be a Roman Catholic, and to spy even among your own brethren, to believe no man, to trust no man. If you don't catch it all in this one, catch it in the next one, people. Among the Reformers, to be a Reformer. Among the Huguenots, to be a Huguenot. Among the Calvinists, to be a Calvinist.